on my way now.
Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. If you happen to be new around here, my name is Trevor and this is Anna. We are the Delightful Travelers. Make sure to hit subscribe and click on the little bell to follow along on our now Mexico adventures.
Yes, this is our very first time in Mexico City and we are oh so excited to explore this amazing city. So we are starting things off in the La Condesa and the Roma areas of Mexico City. When you start doing research, you quickly learn that these are the two most desirable areas, or two of them, of the most desirable areas in Mexico City to stay. This is our first time here, so we knew right away, like, this is the area we want to be in. It's known for being quite upscale and quite trendy, and I didn't realize this, but very, very green.
Well, Anna just called it. This place is beyond green. I cannot get over the trees here in this park. There's people walking dogs. You guys, we are so excited to be here. We wanted to come to Mexico City for years and years and years now. If you're as excited as us, hit the thumbs up button because that's gonna help us out. This is gonna be a fun video.
So the name of this park is called Park Mexico. Pretty easy to remember. It's kind of right in the center of the neighborhoods we were talking about, and I'm unsure if it's actually considered the La Condesa area. When you look it up on Google Maps, it's a little unclear on where the neighborhoods verge, so we're either on the edge of Roma or the edge of La Condesa. I'm not sure which one. Maybe someone can leave a comment and clarify that for us. But anytime we go to a new city, we always talk about this because we love this. Something that makes the city really, really great is its green spaces, and that's something that struck us basically the moment we arrived here, is that Mexico City does this really, really well.
These fountains are beyond impressive. It's actually hard to believe that this city, Mexico City, is the largest city in North America, and I think the population in the proper, like city proper, is something like 9 million people, is that right?
Yeah, it's 9 million in the city proper, but 21 million in like the greater Mexico City area, so that's massive. I was also reading, this seems to change a lot, but I think it's considered the 5th largest city in the world by population. I think that switches back and forth once in a while, but isn't that not crazy?
That is absolutely wild. I'm trying to remember what the #1, like the largest is, and I think it was Tokyo,
It is
right?
Tokyo, yeah.
Tokyo, Japan. We were there last year. This is the thing about the city though. You would never think it's the largest given how quiet it is here. It's actually one of the first things we noticed, one of the first impressions we had. It's just how quiet it is walking around.
And just for a little bit of background for those of you that are new to the channel, we actually live in the Dominican Republic and we were just in Santo Domingo for about 5 days before flying here. And the Dominican Republic is a very, very loud place. Like, people like to have very loud music, they honk horns, so maybe it's a little bit of like sensory underload or something like that.
Yeah, it's a contrast for sure, you guys. It's really strange when we're out by the streets and like we're crossing the crosswalks and people are stopping and letting us go.
Not a million horns honking all the time. It's really, really strange, but I love it.
You'll see when we get out there a little later on.
We are currently walking under this beautiful pergola with all these beautiful flowers. It's really, really stunning around here. I can't get over how beautiful it is, but you guys might be wondering a little bit about the climate. Like, what does it feel like here? We are here in the month of May, and I'd say it's really, really pleasant. It does get quite hot during the day, so like in the low 30s, but it's really, really dry. So you're not walking around sweating, which I really, really appreciate. We're often in very, very humid places and you just walk outside and you're dripping in sweat, and that doesn't happen here. And also in the evening, it tends to cool down quite a bit, so that's quite nice as well. And it's funny, I didn't realize, and people don't seem to talk about this very often, and I don't know why, but the reason it's so dry is because of the elevation. This is actually the highest city we have ever been to, and I had no idea about that before we arrived. I didn't realize the city was so high up, and I actually have the elevation for you. So the altitude is 2,240 meters, or 77,350 feet. Like, that's really, really high, and it is actually the 7th highest city in the world. Why does no one ever talk about this?
I had no idea. Yeah. So that means the air is thin, but do you feel a difference?
I don't know. I think we're both fighting a little bit of a cold, so that's going to affect things negatively, but otherwise I think I feel okay so far. It's only day 2 really that we've been here, so I don't know how long it takes to get altitude sickness. Hopefully if we were going to get it, we would have already.
We've never had altitude sickness before, but we definitely know people that have. I know you can get like a lot of headaches, almost feels like a flu. It's really nauseating. Hopefully that does not happen to us. But I'm trying to figure out where I'm standing right now. So it's in the park and there's these kind of pillars back there, but it kind of seems to be an everything space. There's kind of some people playing soccer over there. There's this girl in a dress, so really, really good use of the space here in the city. So we're just on our way over to one of the main roads now, and I can't help but notice this little mall or kind of walkway which seems to be kind of an extension of the park. Like, this city is just blowing our mind. Look at this, it's as far as you can see, and I think it actually wraps around for like a couple of kilometers around the park. Also, we are surrounded by some cute cafes and clothing shops as well. So far, we're really digging this place.
We're at one of the main streets here in the area. It tends to get quite busy. It's not too bad at the moment. It's also pretty quiet for traffic. Again, coming from Santo Domingo, I'm sure our opinions on that are probably a little bit flawed, but we just find in general it seems really quiet here. It's pretty pedestrian friendly, I would say, in general, but once in a while you get to a pedestrian crossing at one of these main things that doesn't have any walk lights. They can get a little bit confusing at some of them. Most of them are fine, but we encountered a couple of them yesterday that we were walking and we had no idea when we should cross and when not, because they were just a little bit weird.
Do you notice there's not many horns here at all, and there's actually like bus stations and bus lanes and bike lanes?
It's really interesting how they have it set up. So on the far side, like the middle side, is just for buses, almost like a subway system, but they're buses, really long buses. And then the stations are elevated. It's really interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. And then on each side there are also bike lanes. Love that.
So we're now just coming across some of the food vendors, some of the street vendors here in the city. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the reasons that we came here for.
I'm gonna say this is probably the main reason that we came here. We love Mexican food. It doesn't matter where in the world we are, we usually seek it out, even if we're, say, in Bangkok or in Asia. Anywhere, it's always one of our favorites. So to be here and actually get to experience Mexican food in Mexico City is going to be amazing. This neighborhood has everything from street food to little cafes to international foods from all over the world, so we're really excited to just try everything.
Well, speaking of food, we've come over to Tortas El Fuego to get some of this delicious looking thing. Oh my, well, not this thing. This is a giant agua de limon. Look at the size of this. I might as well just try it. Ooh, it's basically like a lemonade, but how cool is this? We're waiting for the food to come out now. I'm sitting like right on the street. Traffic's behind me. I gotta even maybe touch a car. So this is what I'm talking about. Mexican street food.
So the first dish has arrived. We ordered tacos al pastor. You guys might know that this is one of the most popular taco dishes that come out of Mexico. I think it actually originates here in Mexico City, and it's made of pork. You might have seen a little shot of it on a spit. It's very famous that they have this, you know, big pork spit, and then on top of it they put some onions, some cilantro, and then some pineapple. We got some yummy sauces over here on the side, and of course it's on pork tortilla. They certainly don't go light on the toppings here. This taco is just full of everything. That is so delicious. This alone is just worth coming to Mexico City for. The meat is perfection. It's not too chewy, it's not too soft, it's like just perfect. I love the toppings. I love that they put pineapple on it. Some people might not like that, but I think most people would agree that it goes really well. It just adds a little bit of sweetness to it. And then put on the hot sauces. You have to have the hot sauces. It just adds another dimension of flavor and spiciness to it. It's so good. So easy to eat too. Just like 2 bites basically.
All right, take a look at what I ordered. It's a chorizo torta. Look, you can see all the cheese, chorizo. I think there's avocado, tomato, a whole bunch of goodies in here. Now, this is what the place is named after. It's looking now, Tortas El Fuego. So they're known for this. This is what people come here for. And I think the bread is kind of unique. I think that's kind of what makes it a torta, because there's also sandwiches on the menu as well. I'm just gonna have to try this. Enough talking. This looks glorious. Oh yeah. Whoa. This is just divine. The chorizo right away is just throwing me for a loop. I've had chorizo many times, but this one is kind of smoky, and I love that it's not like giant pieces of chorizo. It's kind of like grounded up in amongst all the cheese, and the avocado smooths it out. Bread is delicious. It's actually a little bit toasted. I gotta take another bite here, you guys. This is something else. Oh my God. The al pastor tacos were great. Some of my favorite tacos ever. Whoa. But this, if you're coming to this city, come here and get this sandwich. I'm actually literally blown away. Maybe one of the better sandwiches I've ever had. Who would have thought you'd find this in Mexico City? A sandwich this good, I mean. I've convinced someone to take a bite. Isn't that awesome?
All right, those are some big words, not words, but big announcement coming from Trevor to say like it's one of the best sandwiches he's had, because we've had some stellar sandwiches around the world, but this is incredible. I just tried it. I'm glad we added cheese, because we actually debated it at first. Trevor was like, no, maybe we don't get cheese, and I thought, I feel like a sandwich needs to have some cheese on it. glad I said that because it definitely adds a little bit of, I don't know if it like holds it together or something, but oh, that chorizo, it's so good.
I know one thing, before we leave this city, we got to come back here and get that.
Maybe multiple times.
Well, it's another day here and we've come over to Central, and this is definitely one of the more older areas of the city. This city's enormous.
It is enormous, and honestly, this feels totally different. To say the vibe is like a little bit different than where we just were is a huge understatement. This, I might as well be in a whole other city than where we just were.
I know, you guys know that watch us from week to week know that we've been to Europe so many times. This feels obviously so much like Spain, like the buildings, the cathedral behind us. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we're in this enormous square with all these people. It's a Saturday. This is such an absolutely amazing city.
If you didn't happen to notice, right behind me is this ginormous cathedral. How epic is it? It's absolutely amazing. Also, you might notice it's a little bit louder here. We've been talking all video about how quiet it is in La Contessa and Roma. Over here, a little bit louder. On the drive here, there was a lot more beeping and horns. You can hear like announce-me things happening, some drums in the background. Like it's a louder.
I don't know what's going on way over that way, but maybe we'll go check it out. But there's not a lot of people in the square, probably because there's not a lot of shade.
It's also a monstrous square. Like this is huge. This is one of the bigger squares I think I've been to.
Right in the center here, I think is supposed to be the big flag. There's a pole, but there's also an encampment here, kind of like a, I don't know, people call them tent cities. We have this happening in our own city, well, our own home city. It's not really our home city anymore in Halifax, and I think a lot of the Haligonians seem to think it's only happening there, but this is happening all over the world now.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if there's something, if it's a homeless encampment or if there's a protest
Could be a protest.
Or I don't know, there's some signs around, but they're in Spanish, so I'm not quite sure what they say. There's also one facing the other direction, so I can't even see it. So it probably might explain what's happening, but there are a few different areas with tents up.
All right, so the name of the square here, just in case you're wondering, is called Plaza de la Constitución. And this big old cathedral here, that's the Metropolitan Cathedral. Just check out the detail in this. I can't get over how intricate it is. Now, you might be wondering, like, how old is this? It started construction 1573 and went all the way to 1813. That's a long time to build this thing.
This cathedral is also considered the oldest and the largest in Latin America. And just an interesting, not so great fact for you is the fact that it is sinking. Yes, that's right, this building is so heavy that it's actually sinking. And there's a long story to that, and I'm probably not going to get it completely factually accurate, but I highly encourage you to look this up because it's really, really interesting, and it's definitely going to affect the city going forward. So, back before the Spanish arrived here, this was an Aztec city, and it was, I believe, an island built around a lake. And when the Spanish came in here, they actually drained the lake. They destroyed the entire city that was there already. They actually took the stones from the pyramids and built the cathedral out of that. And now, because of the way they took the water out of the lake and drained it, it's whatever's happening underneath is not good, and it's causing everything to sink like by meters, by a lot.
Yeah, so just to make it even more clear, it's not just the cathedral that's sinking, it's the whole kind of Central.
I think it's a whole, like a massive part of the city, but it's worse here in Central because everything is so old and so heavy.
I'm going off memory, but it might have been like 1 to 3 inches a year it's sinking.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot, so just imagine this keeps getting lower and lower, like what will happen?
Yeah, and on top of that, you've also probably heard that there's a massive water crisis here in the city. And I think part of that comes from the fact that they originally drained that lake. Like, going back, you know, 500, 600 years, they made a pretty massive error, and now there's like this big problem because of it.
All right, so just to talk about water a little more, we lost our water here in the city this morning, and it's still out by the time we left. So there is a water shortage happening now. And what we read before we got to the city was that like there could be a water shortage kind of coming to Mexico City. We actually didn't think it was happening now. We didn't read much about that, and here we are and we have no water.
Yeah, so I had obviously heard that Mexico City has a major water problem, but I didn't realize it was like actually affecting the water being completely shut off entirely, so you have no water. And I kind of wish our hotel had maybe warned us about that. We do have a bucket in our room. I would have just filled it up had some water waiting for the toilet to wash anything, that kind of thing, just having it to the side to be ready, but be aware of that if you're coming here.
Yeah, we're staying in a kind of a nice neighborhood called Condesa as well, so you wouldn't think the water would cut off there. I'm not trying to be naive or anything and thinking that that can't happen, but it was a little shocking. We asked the hotel staff and they said there's nothing we can do, we just lose our water here. So if you're thinking about visiting the city, and we highly recommend that you do, just know that you could lose your water. It's happening now.
So be prepared.
Well, right next to the cathedral, you have your typical kind of souvenirs, all those things. You have people in costume. This is kind of interesting what's going on here. So there's a lot of action happening, that's for sure. You can see behind us, it's like so much. There's all these kind of jewelry over here. Some amazing jewelry in Mexico, that's for sure. There's also like a smell in the air from what's happening here. Actually smells really, really good. This is super cool. Wow, this city's alive, huh?
Well, I couldn't hear anything that you just said, but interesting to watch what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
I heard them saying something about purification, and they're like putting like sage or something all over people's bodies.
Yeah, I was saying that you could smell it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we've come across what looks to be one of the most busiest pedestrian-only streets. This is crazy. There's so many people and so many things to buy. I don't think I've ever seen so many shops all condensed into one place.
There's also a lot of people like trying to hand out something and speaking Spanish, so I'm not quite sure what they're saying. My Spanish isn't that good.
Well, our Spanish is coming, but I could hear some of them are saying like Plaza tour.
Plaza something.
Yeah.
Tour, yeah.
I think it's basically all tourists,
yeah.
But it's really fun to kind of walk around and just see how this this whole city operates. I don't even feel like I'm in the same city as I was earlier. Do you?
Like I said, I feel like I literally got dropped off in an entirely different city.
Like, are we in Mexico City right now? I mean, we must be because the square's there. Maybe where we're staying is like a whole other city.
I think so.
Well, we're just waiting to cross the street here. Look at this. This looks busier than Shibuya Crossing in Japan. Oh my word, look at all the people coming, you guys. Crazy. Holy, that must have been like a few hundred people.
The one thing I will say they did well at the crossing in Tokyo, which is the busiest in the world apparently, is that they let all the cars go at once and then all the pedestrians go at once, so you can kind of go at any angle. It's a really good idea because here it just works like a regular street light. But suggestion to Mexico City, make it like pedestrians at once and cars at once. We just came across this absolutely beautiful building, and in amongst all this craziness we decided to take a little break, have a little sit down. This is called the Palacio de Bellas Artes. I'm sure I'm saying that completely wrong. It is I believe, a performance space and a museum. I'm assuming very, very old. It's gorgeous, gorgeous structural building. I think it might be an architectural museum inside, which would be really cool. But a fun fact for you about Mexico City that you probably weren't expecting. This city actually has more museums than any other city in the world. Like, we're talking Paris, we're talking Rome. This city has more museums. So if you're a museum lover, and we've heard there's some really good ones here, this city is definitely for you.
We're now back at our apartment that we're renting. We thought we'd show you guys where we're staying because I know you guys always like that. So here it is. This is the dining room area that we have, kind of like a makeshift desk. Anna's over there. We got the kitchen kind of here. It's a decent size, huh?
It's not bad at all. If you're staying for months and months, then you might find it a little bit small, but for a couple of weeks, it's absolutely perfect. Great living room area over here. It's actually a very comfy sofa, huge TV, so great setup if you want to, watch some movies and TV.
Yeah, we were surprised at the size of this. Now I'll show you maybe the bedroom first. I'll show you the bathroom in a second. Bedroom's pretty good. We got a king-size bed. Really bright window here. This is the brightest room. That's the only thing we don't like about the other room is it's kind of dark. There's no windows, so that's kind of a bummer.
But what I would say is good about this room is that it's facing the back, so we're not on the front of the building, so it's pretty quiet in here to sleep.
Very true. Now, there's a little storage area here. There's not too much to see. All right, I'll take you guys into the bathroom here. So you might remember earlier we said there's no no water. Nothing. No water still. We even went out for the day and we thought water would be back. I don't know, that's kind of alarming. So earlier today we did manage to fill up kind of half a bucket just for the toilets. We've been using this pot and kind of dumping it in the back. Yeah, I mean, it's a walk-in shower. It's kind of a weird bathroom tour. When you got no water, it's just kind of a bummer. You know, it's all day and you're kind of like, what's happening?
Yeah, I was actually just a minute ago reading a little bit about it, and it seems like a lot of hotels, and this is technically sort of a hotel, have like backup cisterns in their basements for situations like this so that places don't run out of water. But I don't know what's happening here. We're not getting much information. So.
Yeah, not getting much information. I don't think I'd recommend this place because of that. It's been about 10 hours so far without water. So I understand there's a water shortage in the city, but we should be getting some information.
And maybe people could give us some feedback that are from here. Is this a normal thing for building, or is it what I just said? Are most buildings usually prepared for this and they don't run out of water because they have backups? Or is it just this just happens all the time to people?
Maybe it is what it is.
Welcome to the rooftop. This is definitely a perk of staying here. maybe you have no water, but at least you have a fun rooftop to come to. You get a really good view around here. It has been a little bit smoggy. You're probably wondering, like, this is one of the biggest cities in the entire world, so is there smog? Some days, for sure. Today's not too bad. You can actually see the blue sky, so that's a good sign.
The other day this was much more smoggy.
Yeah.
But today's not too bad, but there's no question the air is not good in this city.
I did notice when you open up like a weather app, especially like Apple Weather, it'll show you like a full graph of the air quality. A couple of days it was in the poor area. Today, I think it was a little bit better.
Such a great first day though. First impressions of the city, and oh my, it's just wild. Way bigger than I imagined. Even coming in here, like, we've been to some really big cities like Tokyo and Hanoi, just filled with people. But this is a whole other level. This just feels different to me.
I know, I don't know why, but it does. And it's just funny because there's so many different neighborhoods, and it was great to start it off over here in this area where it just feels totally different than Central.
Yeah, I still can't get over when you do, like, Central from where we are right now in Condessa was about a half-hour drive on a Saturday. I think it's close to an hour drive in a rush hour traffic. It really does feel like another city. Like, it could be a totally different place, and the whole time going there, you're in traffic lights and full-on cars. But to me, what this neighborhood, like, what I like so far about Mexico City is the neighborhood we're in, all the greenery, all the walking spaces, all the cafes. I mean, we knew, like, Roma Norte, Roma Sur, Condessa was going to be like that, but it is exceeding our expectations.
Absolutely, yeah, I absolutely love that, especially that park area is just phenomenal. It's one of my favorite areas of any city. So speaking of that, I feel like putting the water issues aside and assuming we don't have any more for the rest of the week, knock on wood, hopefully.
Knock on all the wood.
That this is going to be maybe one of our top cities.
I think so. So you guys know we like big cities. For all of you guys following along for like quite a while, you often hear us say, like, we love Istanbul, we love Budapest, we love Bangkok, we love big gritty cities with diversity and green spaces and just like a plethora of things to do.
Tons of restaurants, cafes, and all the things.
This is maybe, I'm just going to say it, this might be my favorite city in North America that I've been to. Now, that said, I'm just going to bring up the water again. Let's see at the very end of this series in Mexico City.
If we go through a whole week and have no water in our place, probably not going to be.
I know.
But if it just ends up being one day with a few hours of no water, then no big deal.
I think the next video we won't get to report on this because we're going to be out. Spoiler alert, we're going to be eating some delicious tacos.
We might be on a tour.
So we won't be at our place. But hopefully this videos after that we'll find out. But I have to say, this is a great first day. I'm loving Mexico City. We already love Mexico to begin with. And after this, we're going to go eat more tacos, believe it or not.
Yeah, can you believe it? I think we're going to be eating a lot of tacos over the next couple weeks.
If you did get this far in the video and you don't know who we are, Trevor and Anna, Delightful Travelers, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, thumbs up, all the things that we usually say. We'll see you in the next video.
All right, guys, that's it.
From Mexico City, wishing you delightful travels.
See you soon.